There are some things that can happen in your life until you feel like you are totally ruined and completely destroyed and you are no more. I believe everyone has a story, but the level of stories are the one that are different, and also how long one is able to endure until they go or get over what they are going through. For my side, I have gone through some terrible things that always that almost ruined my life, that almost got me finished. And for sure, I was really mad about it. I got depressed, but thank God I got over it. I'm talking about what happened for almost 6 years ago. It's a bit difficult, but it's also good when we say there is a God in heaven. If at all you can pass through and overcome and stand strong and not allow your scars to define who you are. For me, I lost my loved ones within a span of 1 month, and it was terrible because it came with a lot of things at once. There was just one day my dad called me and told me his brother, his second-born brother, my dad was the firstborn in their family. Now his second-born brother was just ministering to people and he collapsed, and by the time he was carried to the hospital by the ambulance, by the time he reached the hospital, he was already dead. So when I received the news, I was struggling a lot because my son had been sick severally and he had been admitted severally in the hospital. So we have been in the hospital on and off, and I had not relaxed. In fact, my son was sick with malaria symptoms like disease, and he was treated one time, another time he recovers, another time he gets back to sickness, until I opted to go to a different hospital where he was diagnosed with blood bacteria infection. Then he was treated and he got better for quite some time, but after recovering he regressed. He couldn't do the things that he used to do at his age, and he couldn't do the things that children at his age of 3 years are able to do, because he was not able to stand on his own, so he could crawl. So he can't walk anymore, he's crawling, he can't feed himself, he can't toilet. It's like he has forgotten everything, and he's also hyperactive. By that time I didn't know what that hyperactivity is, but I knew he's all over, destroying things up and down, not relaxing, doesn't have enough sleep at night, ever crying, throwing tantrums, having mood swings. It was so hard for me. Now that I had received the news of my uncle, I was very down, and I was also struggling financially. So I tried talking to people around me, but okay, I didn't get help. I really wanted financial support to travel and go to attend the burial for my uncle, so I wasn't able to make it. Now, 2 weeks after the burial of my uncle, my mom texted me one early morning around 4 a.m. that my dad had a severe stomachache and he was not feeling well, so he was rushed to the hospital. But she believes he will be okay. So later that day, I didn't take that news well because I was still struggling and coming to terms with the death of my uncle. I loved him so much, and here is my son making me to go through horrible things. People are calling me names. Some people are thinking I'm a psycho. Others are saying my son is demonically possessed because for them, most of the things that my son was doing was not normal, and most of the people around me had not seen it, including myself. And even me, at a point, I thought my son is demonically possessed, so I didn't know what to do. So on receiving the news that my dad is sick, it really tore me into pieces. But it didn't dawn on me that the previous day we had talked with my dad, and I couldn't even realize it was the last time we were talking. So it was terrible. And I had to find a way of consoling myself, because I realized that the more I talk to people about my issues, the more they run away from me. The more I shout for help and cry for help, the more people run away. And I noticed the more calls I'm making to people, some people are just ignoring my calls, and even others are blocking me because my calls are not going through to some people, because I had gone through a lot during that period. So it's like I had remained alone with my family. So I tried to talk to some people in church. Some church members contributed to me, so I was able to. Just before the church members contributed to me, that day that my mom called me and told me dad was not feeling well, at around 12 midday, I decided to make a call, but I decided I should eat early lunch, so that just in case my mom tells me she's not feeling, my dad is still not feeling well, I'll have strength to console myself. So that's what I did. I cooked lunch, I ate, then I switched my mind and decided I'm not going to call my mom again. Let me call my dad. So after eating lunch, I took my phone and called my dad directly. Now during this midday, it's not my dad who picked the call, and I was so shocked because it's my brother, my elder brother, who picked the call. And when I say hello, he said, Judy, you know what? Mom told you dad was not feeling well. I said yes. And he said, dad is no more. He was just straight to his word. I asked him, no more to mean what? He said he's going to be with God. It was so tough for me, very tough. So I called my pastor and told him, and he said they will pray with me, of which I appreciated very much, because I was so low and I was also struggling for financial needs. Also, I was very low in everything, both spiritually, physically. I was not even eating well. I remember I could go several days without eating meals, and I couldn't feel hungry. And I even didn't have an appetite to feel like tasting anything. So after that call, my pastor summoned some church members, and they were able to contribute to me around 10,000. So by the grace of God, I traveled home for the funeral arrangement of my dad. And you know, I had a child who seems to be not doing well mentally, because his condition was deteriorating every day, every minute, every second. Because after that, after recovering from his previous sickness, he was regressing and he was going down and down. He was not growing upwards, he was growing negatively. So he was super hyper. Sometimes he was banging his head, he was destroying himself, he was scratching his, sometimes just self-harm. And he could cry. For me, I thought he was crying with no reason, but for now I understand people with that condition, or children with that condition, how they behave. So I know how to handle it. So I managed to travel home, and I wasn't even able to cry. I don't know why. I was looking around, seeing people crying, seeing my mom mourning and fainting severally. I was just not into terms. I wasn't even able to talk. I wasn't not even in the mood to eat, because I didn't know which one to handle, whether I should handle my son, whether I should handle my dad, and I'm not able to revive him. But at some point, I thought maybe the doctors had not checked on him well. They'll get to a huge surprise and he might just rise up. and surprise us. That's what I thought. I was also on a certain medication because I've been sick with some chest related problems previously. When my child was ever sick, I used to carry him a lot because he wasn't when he regressed, he wasn't able to walk by himself for quite some time. So most of the time I was carrying him. Now I really had a very painful chest every time. Now I was on medication, and also the medicine was not responding. At some point I had been treated of pneumonia. I had a stinging pain behind my back and also in my chest, and it was very painful. And now I'm at the funeral and people are busy, people are coming, people are comforting, and people are talking to us as a family because they know how much we love one another. But at one point, I'm sure it's like I wasn't hearing what they were saying. I was there, but my brain or my mind was somewhere else. So after the burial of my dad, I'm trying to put things shortly so that I can come to now a place. I can now give you a story on how I came to be depressed, and how I realized I'm depressed, how my life was in danger or in my own hands, and how the life of my son was in danger with the person he trusts so much, that's me, and how my husband and the other child also life was in danger in my hands because I couldn't take it anymore. The moment I was seeing it's useless to live, I'm going to reach that point where I'll explain to you, and you will be able to understand more on how it feels when somebody is depressed and what goes into the mind of people. So after the burial of my dad, I came back to Nairobi. Then I had not even relaxed for some time. I had not even started mourning, because during all those ceremonies and burial arrangement and what, I don't know what was inside me, because I wasn't crying, I wasn't feeling any bitterness, I wasn't feeling any pain. I don't know what was happening, but my mind was just absent-minded. So after I've come to Nairobi, I've not relaxed. Now my husband, my sister-in-law texted me and my husband that my mother-in-law collapsed and she was rushed to the hospital and she was diagnosed with a heart failure. Those ones are the people I've been very close to, and it's like all of them are going one by one. They haven't even realized the condition of my son, but they are going. It was terrible. After my mother-in-law, the last 2 weeks after the death of my mother-in-law, now it was the death of my uncle, the last born brother of my dad. And for my uncle, he had been very sick, so at least people were hoping at some point he will recover slowly by slowly and get better. But now things just got to worse because he passed on. Now it was so terrible to me. Thank God I managed also to travel and bury my uncle, attend my uncle's burial ceremony, and I came back to Nairobi, and things now are getting worse and worse. I was so disturbed because I thought with time my son will get better, but he wasn't getting better. He was deteriorating. He was becoming more and more aggressive. He was becoming more energetic even than me. At the age of 3 years, he was stronger than me. I wasn't eating well because I was feeling so unwell in my body. I was feeling so depressed. So he was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So when I came to Nairobi, I had to start moving from one hostel to another to come and try and look for diagnosis of my son. And most of my movement didn't bear fruits because they were not telling me what my son is suffering from, and the condition that he has is not curable. They were not telling me. And I wasn't even ready for such news because I didn't know that they can even tell me such a thing. So I walked from hostel to hostel just to find the diagnosis of my son. Okay, I'm going to end my video from there because I see the memory of my phone is getting up. But please subscribe to this first part so that as I upload the second video, you will be able to complete my story. You'll be able to view my story in full. So I'm going to cut off this shortly to upload it on my YouTube channel. Then I'll have to record part 2 of my story to tell you about how I managed to get the diagnosis of my son and all the hell that I went through on earth, and how depression almost got me do something crazy that could get me in the news all over. How I survived, how I got over it without medication, I don't know, without a therapy. It's just by the grace of God. So I'll be sharing about it in the next video. So stay in tune, just subscribe and wait for next video. I'll upload it as soon as possible. God bless you.